DaVinci Resolve came out for iPads a little bit ago, but why don't I use it? Well, there's a couple different reasons actually why I don't use it. The main reason is it's not optimized insanely well. Now, I do not have an old iPad. This is an iPad from 2019, and that's not old. But DaVinci Resolve has been so optimized for the it's optimized wonderfully, but the problem is you can't do the full resolution editing experience if you don't have one of the new iPads. So let's talk about it. So DaVinci Resolve came out recently, and it took them long enough. It's taken everyone long enough to finally get a full-fledged video editor for iPad, and it works great if you have one of the new iPads, and it works decently well on this one too. See, one thing that's interesting is my camera shoots 4:2 10-bit, 4K, 24p, whatever. And in normal DaVinci Resolve on my laptop, I can't just strip edit that. I have to encode it, and then I can edit it. However, on this iPad, well, I can edit it for free, and it works. The only problem is I can't export it in 4K because of this iPad. It's limited to 1080p because, again, old iPad. Now, what are my options? Well, I can just encode it on my laptop, which is what I do. It takes a couple hours. I can encode it, but that really cuts down on the editing time and just cuts down on creation time and not in a good way, because I have to go through and encode all my footage before I can even start editing it. On my iPad, I can just put it in, edit it, but I'm limited to 1080p. Now, there's good and there's bad to that. 1080p is more than good enough for 95% of the things I do on YouTube. But for what about those other things where I actually want it to look good? Something like this, maybe. Not a daily vlog. Something where I'm sitting, talking to the camera with a talking head, and I want it to look professional, clean, and sharp. Well, 1080p would still work, but I want 4K. Well, there's not really many options. I either just record it on this camera as is, export it, or import it onto my computer and encode it, or I do it on 1080p downscaled on here. Or I use a different application. I love DaVinci Resolve, and there's a lot of things to be said about the wonders of DaVinci Resolve, but when you can't really edit with it effectively on an iPad, is that really something that should be hindering you? Or is that a camera issue and I just don't want to pay to use software that actually does support my camera? So where do we go? Well, I could upgrade to something like Final Cut, and I've been looking at doing that for a while. Or I could just not record in 4K, or I could just sit and encode it. But that's not really what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the iPad and why I don't use DaVinci Resolve on my iPad. And I kind of mentioned it. I mean, the editing experience is wonderful. It's not 100% optimized for a touchscreen, but it still works. And being able to drag back and forth on the timeline with your finger or an Apple Pencil is absolutely wonderful. So those are the reasons I don't really use DaVinci Resolve on my iPad. Of course, I still use it on my computer. It's my main video editor. I am looking at upgrading to something like Final Cut here in the near future, but it's just not good enough on iPad for me to make the switch to editing fully on my iPad. Yes, it exports faster. Yes, it's optimized wonderfully. Yes, I can edit the footage from my camera without encoding it, but it just doesn't work. It can't do 4K, and that is because of my iPad. But until I either get this upgraded or they change something and let me manually override those settings, I'm gonna be stuck encoding it and editing on my MacBook. And don't get me wrong, I love my MacBook 50% of the time. So with that being said, if you guys liked this video and found it helpful at all, be sure to comment down below what you want to see in an upcoming video or what you think I should be working on. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy, fam. Peace.